Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. We are going to be talking about the swiftly approaching new moon in Leo. This is going to be an exciting new moon, and I think this is going to set the wheels in motion that will have a ricochet effect not only through August, but also potentially through 2026 as well. So, I want to share a few of those ideas that I have about the new moon in this episode. So, welcome back if you've been here before. And if this is your first time, thank you for being here. If you do watch or listen to the podcast and you're not yet subscribed, I'd really love a hitting the like button, the subscription stuff, all of that, and it really just helps to make my channel grow and spread more astrology in the world. So let's get into it. I'll share the screen with you so you can see what's happening with this new moon. I love a new moon in Leo. I love the energy of Leo all round, to be honest. This is going to be a new moon that's really going to spark the essence of individuality. Who am I? What am I doing? What do I want? And what am I really thinking about? Everything, really, particularly with Mercury retrograde as well. So, this new moon is going to kick off the lunar month and continue through the month of August. We are moving into a very sun or solar focused period of time. The energy of Leo, it so reminds me of an album that my mum used to play a lot, Hot August Night by Neil Diamond. If you know, you know, as they say. So anyway, back to the not Neil Diamond, but the moon. Again, it's the heat of summer in the Northern Hemisphere, winter for here in Australia. So there is this energy here about a lot of solar heat, fire, warmth, and radiance. And if you think about the energy when, if it's too hot, you don't want to do too much because you're hot and bothered, you're fatigued. But on the other hand, if you've got the right balance of heat, it's very warming, it's very radiant, and it's very energetic. So, this is the energy that we have all throughout August. So, we have the sun in Leo, obviously, until about the 22nd. We'll have Mercury in Leo all month. We'll have Venus arrive in Leo on the 25th or the 26th if you're here in Australia. We'll have Saturn in Aries all month. And then the very beginning of September, Saturn will move into Pisces. So August is the last month that we have Saturn in Aries until around mid-February. And then Neptune will be in Aries all month as well. So Saturn and Neptune are in the sign of Aries, and Aries is the sign where the sun is exalted. So there's a special energy coming through that is a solar principle along with the new moon in Leo. So, in addition to that, they're forming a trine. So, there is a real element of fire coming through here. Maybe this is that fire to want to recommit to a dream. Maybe this is the fire that what I've been working towards, what I've been dreaming or hoping for, is finally beginning to manifest. For some people, there might be that energy of, I really need to review, rethink, revise, because obviously we've got Mercury retrograde here, and I'll go into a little bit more about that in a minute. There might be having to rethink things. Do I need to let go of a dream that I've held or a desire that I've had in my heart? Is it really kind of practical? So I think this new moon has the potential to really spotlight some of these things. Maybe you want to do what I refer as Richard Bransoning the situation. So I get this phrase from one of his biographies. Um, I think he called it, maybe it was losing my virginity, because obviously virgin, his brand name, but he has a phrase that is when he didn't really know what he was doing yet in business, but it seemed like a good idea. It was screw it, let's do it. And so this month might be a little bit of that impetus coming back, especially once we have Mercury stationing direct. And Mercury was stationed direct on the 11th of August. So, we might be starting to rethink, redo, revise, and then get to the station. And that might be where we really, right now, we know we're either going all in or we're going to step back on a certain obligation, responsibility, or a commitment. But probably what is the real nitty-gritty of this new moon is the fact that it is opposing Pluto. So that's really the big humdinger that we're really looking at with this lunation, and it's a really intense one. When we think about Leo, I think about celebrity. I think of movie stars. I think of all the big Leos, Madonna, um, the lead singer of Metallica. Well, obviously, he's big for me. But these bigger, larger than life type of people who have a lot of energy, a lot of dynamic or diametism. They have that star quality. So we are thinking celebrities, whether you like them or not, whether they're talented or not, but people who are generally in the spotlight. We're thinking politics, leaders, CEOs of companies, and things of that nature. It could be your boss at work. It could be maybe a religious or spiritual leader in a group or community that you're involved in. So anyone that sort of is in the spotlight, essentially, that will come under focus with this new moon. And of course, opposing Pluto. Pluto is the lord of the underworld. It's the planet that's often symbolized with the transitioning. So, transitioning from this body into the next body, this life into the next life. It could be transitioning in terms of identity, shedding off layers of yourself to reveal the real you or the real essence. So, an example of this, we can sometimes see a falling down or a death, literal or metaphorical, of someone who's in the spotlight. I think it might have been around the Mercury station was when that guy, it's a new official term, I believe, got cold played. We all seen that on social media, right? So someone who is a CEO of a company was under the spotlight by someone who's famous, put in the spotlight by someone who's famous. And what was revealed was something hidden, taboo, and done behind closed doors, even though he was out in the open. And he was exposed in a way. And so Saturn, also a planet that can be linked to authority figures or even the falling of grace from an authority figure is trining this lunation, and Saturn is in the position of fall, so someone who is in that position of leadership or authority falling. Yes, this happened a week ago just at about this point, and so when that came through, I thought, oh, that feels a little bit early for this new moon, but it's still tracked with the energy. And so I thought, okay, well, there's probably going to be more to come. And so, of course, within the last 36 hours or so, the passing of Ozzy Osbourne, something that has definitely been filling the media. So, literally, he's just a major personality, a larger than life personality for over 50 years at this point. Literally known as the Prince of Darkness, and Pluto opposing the new moon. But what this triggered off in his chart, and there's a few things that triggered off in his chart, and because we don't have an exact birth time, I won't worry about showing the chart. But his nodes are placed at 4 Taurus and Scorpio. So this lunation that he passed away just a couple of days prior to the lunation was squaring his nodes. So if you do practice evolutionary astrology, um, that's a really significant situation in terms of the karma, dharma, and the cycles of life for an individual. So that was definitely a signature of the nodes. And I do, sorry, of this lunation, and of course, and the moon's nodes as well. So I think we're going to see a lot more of these type of energies coming through over the course of the next at least 4 weeks. Um, and maybe I think over time in through 2026, we'll slowly start to see In my opinion, I think a lot of leaders are going to start to fall. They probably know it. And this is probably where we might start to see some of the darker side of the energy coming through with this new moon. Because we've got here the idea of individuality. Who am I? What am I? What do I, how do I shine in the world? Now, we can't really shine whether it is within a family group, a professional group, within society, within the world, wherever, if there isn't a collective or some form of group to shine unto. Otherwise, you're just looking at yourself in the mirror, right? So you don't have the collective without the individual, and you don't have the individual without the collective. So there's a real um, dynamic there because those signs are in opposition. What does it mean to be included, adored, seen, valued for who you are versus the idea of rejection, exclusion, expulsion, those types of, being ostracized and things of that nature. And so we might start to see themes with this under this new moon. You might be feeling the energy of that, whether that is, am I included in XYZ group? Or maybe you're on the side where you have not included certain people into your sphere because they don't think like you do, don't agree like you do. Um, those are themes that we might see show up over the next 4 weeks. We might also see some turning tides of collective narratives. So, Pluto in Aquarius is really kind of the overarching energy. This is the next 20-year cycle. And so, in many ways, much of what we're seeing is going to be filtered by that big collective energy. And so when Mercury is retrograde in the mix and applying to go under the beams and eventually combust with the sun and be renewed and then move out of its retrograde phase eventually, what we might see is a rebranding of narrative or a reformulation of narrative. And you can see that however you want. It can be, are you being told what to think? Are you being told what you can say? And who might be saying that to you? So that could be your boss, or that could be your government, that could be your partner. We might, be clued in to, is what you're seeing on social media, is what you're being told, is that really true and authentic to you as an individual in the world? I think that's going to be a really important theme. Um, there are some astrologers, of course, and there is a rule around this with Mercury retrograde where if a planet is in its chariot, it is protected somewhat. Mercury's not protected here because Mercury doesn't have any special significance in the sign of Leo, but the sun is in its own chariot. So now that the sun has come into the sign of Leo, it's changed the flavor of Mercury retrograde somewhat. I've noticed a few things, at least on the Australian platform, what our government is doing here, what our government is saying here, which does sound very nice at face value, but it's a bit of a setup, in my opinion, for, okay, well, what can we say and what can't we say? So this is going to be an interesting dynamic to keep our eye on. And sometimes this is the tricky part with the energy of Leo and Aquarius because you want to fit in, you want to belong. It's one of, after food and shelter, it's a basic human need to belong to a tribe, belong to a collective of some description. But sometimes a part of that is having to abide by certain rules, having to not rock the boat to a certain extent. And so this is where sort of that kind of duality comes in with the opposition here, because if it's all individuality, then things can get really chaotic. If it's all, um, collective, then things can get very dictatorial really quickly. And so this Mercury retrograde, in essence, is so much about what is true for me, where is my place in the center of all of this, as so much is shifting and changing really quickly. So the idea of individualism, I think, is also supported by the fact that Mercury is retrograde in Leo, but Uranus, newly in Gemini, ruled by Mercury, is also sextiling the lunation. So there is this energy of support here, maybe of speaking up, whether that's to a parent, a partner, a friend, whether that is speaking out against issues of, whatever they may be. And being honest with yourself can be really, really important at this time as well. So, those are a few of the themes for this lunation. There's going to be a real ricochet effect because of all the big planetary action that we've got a preview of, a little bit of a dress rehearsal or the movie trailer of, but the feature film doesn't really start kicking out until January, February, and again in April. So if you kind of keep your eye on the news, the eye on the collective narratives, the happenings, keep your eye particularly on the Leo part of your own birth chart, and what are you rethinking? What are you redoing? And how is it maybe helping you come back to your true self? You don't have to have any Leo planets for this to still be an influence. Who are you? Perhaps, say, for example, I just took a group of mentees through a mentorship program, helping them astrologically. And some of the feedback I get with each mentor group is the idea of, what's commonly known as imposter syndrome, or there's so many people already doing astrology out there now. Why would I bother? What have you? And so, one of the things that I often say is if you go to your regular, we call them shops here, but if you're watching from the USA, you'd call them a mall or a mall. And you just go to the big shopping centers and you have a look. Well, how many places can you buy shoes from? How many places can you get your hair done at? How many places can you go and, I don't know, buy a bottle of water when you're thirsty or grab a cup of coffee? There's always going to be more than one. And so sometimes we do have to shut out the noise. We have to shut out the collective and deliver what it is, Mercury retrograde in Leo, what you have to offer and what you have to say in only what you can do. So that's going to be my message for the new moon in Leo. Show up, be yourself, because everyone else is taken, right? So if you would like more astrology and more tips and tricks to navigate the stars each and every month, the Golden Circle is the place to get it all. So that's my sort of private members community. You're welcome to join at any time, month by month, an annual subscription, cancel anytime. And we've got videos coming out all about August in the next little while. We had a new moon call today talking about this very new moon. We have a great community talking astrology, supporting each other, and it's a really great place. So if you would like to learn more about the Golden Circle Club and join it, I think the Leo new moon would be a good time to join a Golden Circle. So until next time, I hope you have a really happy new moon.